So it's your last show before the No Kings tour with Doomtree.
It is.
How do you feel about that?
I feel good. I feel good. I feel like there's a lot of unknown variables, because most of those songs we've performed a sum total of like 5 times.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot of lyrics to refresh my memory on.
Yeah.
Before we leave in just shy of a week. So. Yeah.
So you're nervous a little bit?
I'm feeling like you're gonna go on vacation, but you're not excited about going on vacation because you have to like stop your mail and take out the garbage and that, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm excited, but I'm like hyper aware of all the stuff that I have to do between now and then.
So for all these Northerners who may or may not know who Dessa is, tell us who Dessa is.
Yes, I am Dessa, and I'm a singer and a rapper in a crew called Doomtree. And we're an independent arts collective based in Minneapolis. And we've been friends for 10 years. And in the past 4 or 5, have been lucky enough to be able to tour nationally together. All of us piling into a cargo van that we nicknamed Mountain.
Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do you want to explain your solo music, like what kind of genre it is? Because I don't know about you, but I feel like your music may not fit into one genre exactly.
I think I agree, but at the same time, talking about music, I think I'm particularly skillless at having genre conversations. And not because I'm trying to make the point that, my music's so different, it doesn't fit it. No. Yeah. I'm not trying to say I can't be classified. I'm sure I can. But even when I'm talking with my boyfriend about a song on the radio, I always feel like I guess wrong. I'm like, oh, this is like prog stuff, right? And he's like, no, man, this is chill wave. Or, this is Italo, what I don't remember what that's called, Italo disco. I'm embarrassing myself now to the music files amongst you who are laughing at my ignorance. But I think I'm better at making music than I am at figuring out how to talk about it, if that makes sense. So, short story long, I sing and I rap, and I work with music that is both organic, like played on pianos and guitars and stand-up basses, and also that's very highly produced. So in my arts collective Doomtree, there are a lot of guys who are really good at making catchy synth lines and programming drums into really kind of head-nodding aggressive music. Mm-hmm. And then when I play with my band, it's usually necessarily a little bit, it leans more towards the elegant rather than the aggressive. So I think I hope that most of the stuff that I do is united by kind of a lyrical sensibility. So I think I'm a better writer than I am a rapper or a singer, to be totally honest. And music has been a meaningful way to try to convey those ideas. Yeah. So
your newest album, Cast of the Twin, recently came out. Good job. And it's mainly, besides The Beekeeper, a rearrangement of songs that you've already produced. Mm-hmm. Tonight, are you going to be playing your reproductions of those songs? You are? The new versions?
The new versions. So with Cast of the Twin, it came out at the very end of 2011, and as you mentioned, a lot of the songs had already been released on a disc I put out earlier, which was called The Badly Broken Code. And tonight, it's almost like Cast of the Twin was born out of working with these guys. So I'm playing with a live band. We've got keys and stand-up bass, live drums, and guitar, really virtuosic guitar player. So in trying to figure out how to put on a live show with a band, I started to realize a few months in, these songs sound completely different because they really, they really flexed all of their musical muscles in translating them from CD to stage. It wasn't just like play what's on the record, because a lot of times what's on the record was clarinet. Okay, so now we've got to transpose a clarinet line to figure out how to make it vibrant and engaging and dynamic on an electric guitar. And so all of a sudden we had these arrangements which had key change and little metric flourishes, and I learned all these words. What's I always call it a frittata, and it's called a fermata, I think. I'm embarrassing myself. And rubato, and what is legato, arco bass, when you use like a bow on a stand-up bass, what does that sound like compared to using your fingers to pluck it, to pitch it? And so all of a sudden we kind of ventured into this like highly musical territory where we found that our live performance really was a different beast. And so we recorded a lot of that to produce Castor. So yeah, short story long, you'll hear a lot of the Castor versions tonight.
Cool. Yeah. Can you tell us, and if you can, we can edit it out, about your new album that's coming out, set to release sometime in 2012?
Yeah, I can tell you what I know, but that's so little that there's no secrets to be kept.
Okay.
Comes out 2012. I'm 9 songs in.
9 songs.
Yep. And you'll probably hear 2 or 3 of those songs tonight. Yeah. So I think one of the songs that's shaping up to be a potential single will be this song called Annabelle, and that's a Spanish guitar kind of a tragic ballad.
Okay.
So not the rap fare, but yeah.
So will you tell us a little bit about your writing process and how you write music, and like how is it like a solo process, or do you write music collaboratively? Or?
I almost always write it by myself. Yeah, usually it's music comes first usually, because I find that if I write the lyrics first, I get sort of an unfortunate nursery rhyme cadence that's not very interesting. Da dun da dun da dun da 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 dun da dun da dun da, and that's better suited, for like a daycare than a club. So usually I listen to the music first. I play it hundreds and hundreds of times on repeat until I've got an idea for what the content of the song might be. I've got some kind of imagistic snippets, and I know, maybe even more importantly, like what the cadence should be. I know the patterns of the lyrics over it. So for me, it always starts with music. Usually happens late at night, and almost always happens alone.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And another question I was going to ask you: do you remember the first song you ever wrote? Or maybe to make things easier. Yeah,
I was like, probably as a kid. I think most kids kind of mess around with that, but I remember the first one I recorded. And I had based it off of a lullaby that's been in my family for several generations. And I remember, pressing play and just, it's half wonder and probably half narcissism, but it was such an exciting feeling to hear my voice doing harmonies, because that's not humanly possible without technology. So that was the first time I'd ever heard the harmonies that were in my head, and that was really an exciting feeling. Yeah.
How long have you been a musician for, and how did that start?
I feel like it's kind of hard to call.
Yeah.
Because like, how long have you been an interviewer? Like, do you count today?
I guess, right?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know when to start count. So I used to sing to the radio. Okay, that doesn't count. When I recorded that first thing, I don't really know if that counted, because then I didn't do anything after that for a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like you're practicing your interviewing skills, even just when you meet a stranger and figure out like the interesting questions to ask from perspectives that they haven't answered them before. Like today when we met, I said, "Oh, you're a senior now, right?" And I was like, "Hey, what are you doing next year?" Knowing that everybody's asking you that same stupid question. Yeah. I think part of being an interviewer is trying to figure out how to get at that info without like triggering the exhaustion button on everybody, Yeah. You're my fourth interview today, and it was like, I've answered what does No Kings mean? What does No Kings mean? I know that's an album that we recently put out.
I didn't ask you what No
You
Kings.
haven't, and maybe I just saved you from asking me that, but I get why that information is important, but I think it takes a really talented interviewer to figure out ways to keep someone engaged when they're talking about material that's really familiar to them, or that they've answered the same questions to. You find that I'm not giving funny or cool or interesting answers anymore. I'm on autopilot,
Yeah.
It's just a kind of human deal. You don't feel the rings on your fingers after you wear them long enough, and we habituate to everything. So, short story long, gosh, I'd say I'm 30 years old now. And I would probably count myself a musician for the past 7 years. So maybe maybe earlier than that. Since 21, 22, or 23. Right in there was, I feel like, where I started to drift into like a vocational interest. Yeah.
So I guess last question
I
have for you is, what are your like routines or techniques that you have to get like really pumped for a show that you're about to go and rock?
I think this is like the least football routine, but it's usually been to put myself so that my forehead touches both sides of a wall, like where there's a corner, so that you can hear your breathing and you can hear your own talking really amplified. And it's been to try to avoid getting into like, I'm in show mode, and instead saying, what's like the most genuine show that you could do right now? Like, are you pissed? Are you excited? Are you joyful? And then to really play up that feeling so that it doesn't look like I'm coming out like a Vegas performer, like, hey, here we are doing a show. Yeah. To try to find out what the authentic thing to say is. And if that's feeling blue or snarky or, or kicky, then to really try to promote whatever the authentic emotion is. So.
Cool.
You're a great interviewer.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Well, thanks for coming out to Lutzen. That means a lot for us. We're not worthy. And also, just thanks for doing this interview, and have a good show. I'm excited. Oh, Why Lutzen? I'm sorry. So why do you want to come out to Lutzen?
First of all, this is one of the most hospitable places that we're ever asked to play. Jim, who runs the business
Jim
here,
Dick.
yeah, he gets it, man. You know, I think he's a genuine music lover. And he also sympathetic to like the average band's plight, which is where it's kind of hungry and unshowered and homeless. And so when he says, "Hey, we'll put you up for a couple nights, come and sing, come and play, and we'll take good care of you," that means a lot. And second, the honest answer is I go anywhere where anyone will have us. And pay us to get out there, you know, so that we're not taking a financial hit. We're pretty equal opportunity. We're eager to play. We're eager to work. So wherever we get a halfway decent invitation, the answer almost invariably is yes.
Are you gonna hit the slopes tomorrow?
I'm thinking about it. Like, as you know, I'm going on tour next week, and I'm so afraid of like blowing out a knee.
Yeah.
Like 4 days before the biggest tour of my career. So a solid maybe.
If you stayed on Euler.
Euler. Okay, is that the Bunny Hill?
That's well, there is a bunny hill.
Okay.
With a tow rope.
No,
and
I'm not going to Euler. I'm going to the Bunny Hill.
Bunny hill. Yeah,
I'm gonna be the oldest person by 18 years. Yeah.
And WTIP thanks you for doing this interview.
Thank you, WTIP.